I went on that 6-week bender and my liver shut down on me. And when that happened, my heart stopped and I went into cardiac arrest. And I was at my buddy's house, man. He didn't know what to do, man. He started to do CPR on me, but he didn't know he needed to turn me over on my side because I was aspirating. And while he was doing CPR and blowing into my mouth, he was pushing that vomit back down in. And I went without oxygen. Nobody knows how long I went without, but it was long enough to where I use a walker now. I can use a cane on good days, but I don't walk normal, man. Like I was in a bed for 6 months, bro. For 6 months, I had to have these beautiful nurses wipe my butt for me. You want to talk about humbling? You know what I'm saying? That's a humbling experience, bro. When you can't wipe your own butt and you got to have people do it for you. As soon as I was able to walk after 6 months, bro, I went right back to the dope house, man. I showed up at the dope house with my walker and started getting high again, bro. I mean, dude, it was so bad, bro. I would be sitting out in front of the trap house. I would be smoking crack and I would be shaking so bad that I couldn't even get out of the car and walk in by myself with my walker. They literally had to carry me in the crack house. 4 guys. They would get under each arm and under each leg and they would carry me into the crack house. They would put the crack pipe in my mouth, load the crack pipe for me, and they would light it for me while I smoked it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't do it on my own, man. You know, I mean, that's what it was like for me, bro.
From the city of Chicago, a city most recently known for its crime and violence. On this podcast, we will be sharing stories of redemption from individuals raised in the tough streets of Chicago and from around the country. Some of them were gang members, drug dealers, incarcerated, victims and perpetrators of violence. Listen to my guests as they share their experiences, struggles, trauma, but also the strength, hope, faith, and perseverance these have developed in them to keep pushing and moving forward in life. Tune in to hear how their lives have gone from darkness to light and from wrong to strong. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From Wrong to Strong podcast. Thank you for joining us. Today, I got my guest. His name is Brett Lawrence. I just met this brother recently. Shout out to Mike Petrovic. Mike was on this podcast, man, some months ago. I'm going to put a link to his interview. Definitely got to check it out. I believe I titled it The Ripple Effect. So shout out to Mike for connecting me with this brother. So I'd like to welcome Brett Lawrence to the podcast.
Thank you, man. Good to be here, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
No, for sure, man. I was talking to Mike. He sent me, I believe it started through a text. Hey man, I got this brother. You definitely, I guess, you shared your story with him. I don't know exactly how that went with you two guys, but like, man, you gotta definitely talk to this brother. He got an awesome testimony. So we reached out, we connected. I don't know if it was text or Facebook, but here you are, brother. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm interested to hear your stories. This is actually the first conversation that we're having, so I'm gonna be learning his story just right along with the viewers, So I'm excited to get into your story, brother.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you again for having me on, man.
Yeah, for sure. Brett, can you tell us what part of the country did you grow up in? If you could describe that area, in your early years, and then tell us how was life for you, when you were young.
Yeah, so I've seen some of your podcasts, man, and my story is just a little bit different, man. As far as like the early years go, I didn't grow up in Chicago or in a gang-infested neighborhood, or what I mean. Like I grew up probably about like 30 miles from Gary, in between Gary and Michigan City, and a little bitty town, man, a little country town, man. Tiny neighborhood. There was probably about 200-300 people in this neighborhood of mine, but it was out in the middle of nowhere, man. It was just this neighborhood out there, man. And I grew up with kids. So first of all, man, I grew up with my mom and dad up until I was like about 5 years old. My dad was a raging alcoholic. He was violent, and he beat my mom up and stuff, and he would take it out on my older sister. I got an older sister. She's 7 years older than me. He wouldn't physically abuse her, but he would emotionally and mentally abuse her. But he would physically beat my mom. And I was really small, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm 7 years younger than my sister. So by the time he left, I think I was like 5 years old. But so I don't, he never really like beat me up. But I remember, you know what I'm saying, being scared to death of him, man. And I just remember one of the earliest memories I have of God is I don't know how old I was, 4 or 5 or something, man, and I don't even know how I knew about God because we didn't go to church, man. God wasn't talked about in the house. We didn't go to church. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if I heard about it from like the neighborhood kids, but I don't know, man. I've read some things over the years, man, that that God, like God is in us, man, from the start, man. And we all have this idea of God, man. We all got this like God-sized hole in our hearts, man, that can only be filled by Him. So I remember sitting on the edge of my bed as a young kid, man, begging God, man, to help us, man. Like save us from my dad. And I remember saying to God at that age, God, I don't care what I have to go through. I just want to be with you. I remember saying that to him at a young age like that, man. That, you know what I mean? Like I knew I was going to die one day, and I don't know how I knew about death and all of these things, man. But it was in me, man. And I remember, and I just begged him, God, I don't care what I have to go through. I just want to be with you, man. And so, my dad left. He ended up getting divorced, and my mom was a single mom, man. So that led me to, running around out in the neighborhood, all hours and days of the night. I had no supervision. I did what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted. Um, my mom, was living her life. And when I was young, I didn't understand it, but I do today. Now that I'm older, you know what I'm saying? Like she was living her life, man. She had things that she wanted to do, and she had two young kids, and she did the best that she could with us, man. But she left me alone a lot. Like my sister, like I said, was 7 years older than me. So by the time I got up to be about 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, my sister's already 16, 17, 18 years old. She's out doing her thing, man. So I'm at home alone a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I got my friends over, man, and we're just doing whatever we want, man. And so I didn't learn any discipline when I was growing up, man. Like I said, I did what I wanted, man. And after my dad left, man, it I was full of fear after that, man. I remember when my dad walked me to first grade, man. It was like one of the last times I saw him. He walked me into first grade, and he was holding my hand. And I remember walking down the hallway with him and walking into this class and thinking, like, I felt like Superman. You know what I'm saying? I had my dad with me. I felt like nobody could touch me, man. So, like, when he left, man, it really destroyed me, man. Um, you know, because even though he was violent and like he was my dad. You know what I mean? I loved him. I wanted that. I wanted that relationship with him. I needed it. And so when he left, man, it just instilled me with a lot of fear, man. I got a really bad anxiety when I was young. Started biting my nails. Started acting out in anger at kids towards school and getting in a lot of fights. I didn't know how to like release that. I didn't know how to release this in a healthy way. My anger and my confusion on why, what I'm saying? Like, I know today why he left, but back then I didn't know.
Brother, could I ask you, like, during this time that your dad left, did any other like male figures come into your life? Did you have I guess dad's not around no more. Did you have any uncles, anybody that maybe try to pour into you or give you some sort of like a what do you call it, like somebody to look up to, mentor or anything like that during those years or?
Yeah, so that's a good question, man. My sister had a boyfriend um, while she was junior, senior in high school, and he was few years older than her, like in his early 20s. And he was really good with me, man. He used to take me to my baseball games. He had he had a crotch rocket, man, a ZX10 when they first came out, and he used to take like he was my big brother, man. And it's a great question, man, because my dad left, right? Well, after they broke up and he left, you know what I'm saying? Like I took that hard, right? Because I had like latched onto him for that male, that older male, positive male role model that I was looking for in my life. I latched onto him. And when he was gone, it hurt me, I think, more than it hurt her. Okay. And then my mom, you know what I'm saying? Like she had a boyfriend. And I hated him at first, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, you ain't my dad. You can't tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? But then he was around for a few years. And I started to latch on to him, right? And my mom broke up with him and he was gone. And she got a new guy come in, right? Well, in between him, she had several guys coming in and out, right? And I never even gave them a chance, you know what I'm saying? But that one, I was starting to latch on to him, and then he was gone. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward, you know what I'm saying? My mom gets married, you know, to this guy, man. And by that time, man, I didn't trust him. I thought he was going to leave too, right? So I never even gave him a chance at all. And he ended up being my stepdad for the next 30 years. And it was a tumultuous time between him and I because I was never able to like let him in. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, but it makes sense though, man, because you know you latched on, let's say, to your dad, and then to this other guy that you thought was gonna be around, and then you're like, man, forget that. I ain't gonna put my trust or not even that, like my love. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I believe that happens, like you know, like we harden ourselves so that we won't get hurt, but at the same time, we won't allow someone to come in who maybe genuinely wants to connect with us, but by then we're already in a sense like damaged goods, you could say, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Because like I said, man, he was my stepdad for the next 30 years, and he was the one that stuck around, man. And we could never have a relationship, man, because my heart was so hardened. And then, you know, as life went on, bro. So I want to say one thing though, that my boyfriend, before he left, man, what he did do was he connected me with the church as I got older, and he led me to the pastor uh, that you know what I'm saying, like he led me to Christ, man.
Hmm.
And like I got saved when I was like 12 years old. Um, and so that was the one good thing, man, that guy he did for me, man.
Wow.
Uh, yeah.
Man, so let me ask you about at 12 years old, how long were you going to church? And I know you said got saved. What was that experience like for you back then?
So yeah, I was so like I said, man, I've always believed in God, man. I've always known that there was a God. And you know, but I wasn't living a godly lifestyle at all, man. How that happened was, you know what I'm saying, like he introduced me to this family. They were like some of the best people I know to this day. Um, and they used to let me come over, you know, because they knew my situation, that you know my mom wasn't around a lot, and because this was before she got married. Um, and so they would let me come over there and stay on the weekends, you know. And you know, I would have like some healthy people to be around and stuff, and they had a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood. And so I used to love going over there, man. They had younger sons, man, they were older than me, but you know, they took time to, like, you know, spend time with me. They'd play basketball with me, we'd go to baseball games, you know, they did healthy things with me. And so I started going to church with them, and it was a non-denominational church. And you know, it was just, you know, good healthy Christian people, man. And so yeah, he brought me to the Lord, man. You know, he asked me if, you know, he's like, you know, I told him, yeah, I think he asked me, I don't know if I said that I wanted to be saved, but you know, we prayed in his office. We got down on our knees, man, and I accept, you know what I mean? Like I told Jesus that I loved him and that I wanted him to be the Lord of my life. And you know what I mean? Like, so I went through the motions, right? And I did mean it. It's not that I didn't mean it. It's just that I didn't. So like I've learned today, man, that I'm not sure that's even in the Bible, that we have to ask Jesus into our heart, man. I think it says repent and believe. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't do that. I mean, I believed, but I didn't repent. You know what I mean? I was young, dude. I was still, because when I left there and I went back home, I had no positiveness in my life, man. I was doing what I wanted to do, you know?
Gotcha. Okay, so
Yeah.
you know you're 12. Like you said, things are still kind of rough at home. So how do your teenage years look? Anything significant that happens during those years?
So, man, so before I became a teenager, man, you remember those drug commercials back in the day? Just say no, and this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah, with the fried egg. What I remember is the fried egg.
So that commercial specifically with the frying egg, I was walking through my living room one day and that commercial was on the TV, and I was, like I said, man, you know, however old I was when those commercials were out. I was born in '76. I was young.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what drugs were. There were no drugs out there, man, except for like people were smoking weed and stuff, but there were no heroin or crack cocaine or nothing like that, man. And but I heard that commercial, man, and I was, as I was walking by the TV, bro, I can't tell you what happened, but something happened, and I don't know if it was like a spirit or something, an evil spirit or something. But I knew at that moment that I was going to be a dope fiend. I knew I was going to be a heroin addict.
How old do you think you were around this time?
Ah, man, you know, I was probably like 10.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha, yo.
I can't explain it to you, but I remember it. And
Yeah.
I remember something, man. Like, I knew that my life was going to be very hard going forward.
Wow. You know what's crazy? That commercial ended up being counterproductive in a sense, man.
Yeah.
And maybe even though they meant it for good, the enemy twisted that, man. Like you said, it could have been spiritual in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now, now that I've realized, you know, that as I've talked to people, I've interviewed the head of the DEA, and he was talking about how these drug lords, they basically pray over their drugs, man. They have like witch doctors and all this to pray over the drugs to protect their shipments. And he was sharing a story where they went into a house, they raided the house, and there was like a big old statue or whatever saint it was that they were praying to. And he went to go move it, and one of the other agents told him, "Hey man, don't touch that, don't touch that." And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "Oh man, you know that's an idol, you know that's one of their idols. You shouldn't touch it, man. It got power." He's like, "Man, my God is more powerful than him," because he was a believer. He just threw that out the way. But you know, no, it's just you sharing that something happened. I believe it, man, because there's a, I believe there's a spiritual significance, even though drugs are like they're in a natural sense, I guess, right, physical. But I believe
Yeah.
there's definitely a spiritual component to drugs.
Oh, absolutely. I know that to be true now. After what I've been through, it's absolutely a spiritual malady. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, I know that for a fact, man. That's the only reason the only reason I'm sober today, that I'm clean today, man, is because of Christ, and because He lifted the obsession, the spiritual obsession that I had to use drugs and alcohol, man. You
Mm.
know, so yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you on that, man.
Amen. All right, so you watch a commercial 10 years old, now teenage years. Well, what ends up
Yeah.
happening?
So, well, you know, I didn't share, man, that, you know, even before that, dude, I was into pornography, man. Like, that was the one thing in that neighborhood, man. Everybody was having sex with everybody, you know, youngsters and stuff like that. Was like our drug, man. That was what, you know what I'm saying? So, like, pornography, I was introduced to at a very young age, man, and started having sex at a very young age. And that was my very first addiction, was sex, pornography. Um, the you know, and I'm talking about youngster, bro. Like, you know, I'd be sitting there waiting on the school bus, dude. I mean, it was so bad, dude. And I've never really shared this. Is the first time I've shared this in public. But you know, it is what it is. It's my story, man. You know, I would be like the bus. I could see the bus coming around the corner, and I would be in front of the TV while the bus is coming to my house, masturbating to pornography before school. You know what I'm saying? And the bus would be outside my house honking its horn, but I got to finish first. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going nowhere until I finish. And that's how bad it was for me from a young age as far as pornography went and sex. And I started, you know, manipulating females into having sex with me and telling them what they wanted to hear. And you know, I mean, they were just a means to an end. They were an object. You know what I'm saying? And I learned that from the people in my neighborhood and from pornography. And so I've always had this really skewed view of females and what sex really is. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I did that throughout high school, bro. Me and my best friend said that, you know, we kept the black book and we wanted to have sex with 100 different females before we turned 18, and we did our best to try and meet that goal. You know what I mean? Like, that was the, like, and this is all spiritual because we know what God says about sex. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just destroying myself. You know what I mean? Spiritually, and so that's what I did throughout high school until I got into high school. And once I started drinking and using drugs, it was a wrap, dude. That became my guy. I was a perfect. I like to call it. I was the perfect storm, man. You know, because and many people are. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying my story is any worse than anybody else's or any less than anybody else's, but I was one of those guys. I was the perfect storm. I had that in me, man. That addictive personality. And you know, like I said, it started with the sex and the pornography, and um, you know, my dad ended up drinking himself to death, and his dad drank himself to death, and so I was next on the list, man. And you know, I was a good athlete when I was growing up. Okay, I was a good baseball player. I was a pretty good football player. But you know, and that's really what kept me out of a lot of trouble. Is I wanted to stay out of trouble because I wanted to be able to play baseball and football and stuff, man. Um, but all that went to the wayside, bro. All that went down the drain, man. Once I started drinking and using drugs, I was a sophomore in high school when I started drinking, and that quickly led into smoking pot and taking acid and just on down the line. You know what I mean? The ecstasy and the cocaine to the heroin, and then 2 weeks into my senior year, I had quit school, and I was a full blown drug addict. You know what I'm saying? And so that led, you know, that's. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you, during that time, how are you supporting your habit? You know, I know you're working. What are you doing during this time?
Yeah, so I started selling weed. You know, I met people. So I was a pretty popular guy in high school, man. I had a lot of friends, okay, and I knew a lot of people, and I didn't have any problem meeting people. I was really outgoing. I wasn't, you know, an introvert. I knew a lot of people, man. I didn't have any problem finding what I wanted, and I started selling weed, man, to support my habit, and you know, and that's really what it was. It was just supporting my party life. I wasn't making any money. I wasn't in it, you know. I was in it to party, um, and that's what I did, man. And that all changed though, man. Once I started doing once the cocaine came around, man. I wasn't able to keep up with that. Like, I wasn't able to keep up. I wasn't able to make enough money to support my habit,
Yeah.
you know. And so I started kicking doors in, and really it was what. So my best friend, the one I was telling you about, he died when I was 18, in December of 1995, or I'm sorry, October of 95, he died. And then in December of 95, that's when I started shooting dope. I was kind of lost without him, man, because, you know, he was the one dude that I had around me my whole life, man, growing up. Um, and so when he died, man, like I was wrecked, man. Like, that was my dude, bro. And I started shooting dope, man. Like, when I did heroin, bro, it numbed me. It took all the pain away, man.
Mm.
Um,
You know what? Could I ask you? How did he pass? I know he was 18, so man, that's really young to get
yeah,
taken away.
I was 18, he was 20, and he was working for Stanley, bro. And he had the van backed up to the house, and they were inside like cleaning the carpets, and the carbon monoxide from the van killed him, bro. He ended up, yeah, he sat down in a chair, I guess, from what I was told from the guy that was working with him, because the guy that was working with him survived. And he said that he saw Chad sitting in a chair, and he thought he was just taking a rest. And he goes upstairs to do his thing. He comes back down, and Chad's dead, man. So there was a carbon monoxide from the van, I guess, man.
And that's a tragedy, man. That's a man. That's bad. Like to go out that way, you know.
Yeah, bro, it was tough, man. It was hard, man. And so I started shooting dope after that, man. And when I did that, man, it made me forget all about Chad. It made me forget about all of my problems in my life, man. And I was once it got its hooks in me, bro. It was a wrap, dude. It was over with. I couldn't stop, man. And I didn't stop. I didn't stop for the next 27 years, man.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, so at that point, bro, I'm really going off the now. I started kicking doors in. Uh, I had a buddy of mine that I had met from from the weed game, man. That was from Black Oak and Gary, man, and he was like the coldest car thief I ever met in my life, bro. He taught me how to steal cars, man, and I started stealing cars to support my habit, and um, like whatever I had to do, man. Except I never sold my body for sex. I never did anything gay or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And I say that because people do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a real thing out there, man. You know. But I say I did. There wasn't nothing I wouldn't do except for anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I was down to steal your car, kick your door in. You know, pull up on you. You know what I'm saying? I robbed a couple people. That really wasn't my thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I would kick your door in and take all your crap. You know what I'm saying? And or I'd steal your car. That was really my MO. You know what I mean? Um, so I ended up getting locked up and going to prison, man, in 1997. And I continued to do the same thing in prison, bro. So what happened though in prison, man, was when I got there, man, I had, my dad was Filipino. Okay, he was born in the Philippines. All right, so he was dark. You know what I mean? And like, um, a lot of people thought he was Mexican or Puerto Rican, you know what I'm saying? But he was Filipino. Um, and so like I got that in me, right? So when I got to,
Could I ask you, and your mom is what?
she's white.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, she's white. And I got the whitest name in the world, man. My dad wanted me to have a white boy's name because he was like, man, he's like, I experienced so much racism when I was growing up. He's like, my mom told me that they wanted me to have the best opportunities that I could. So they gave me, you know what I'm saying? They named me Brett Lawrence, you know what I'm saying? Like, and, I was like, I hated that when I was growing up because I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be like my grandma. I vibed with that. You know what I'm saying? Like I embraced that part of myself. But I never got a chance to know any of them. You know what I mean? And so, when I went to prison, man, I seen all of these dudes in there, man, that I had met. Like I grew up in a white community, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't exposed to other races a whole lot until I went to prison.
Okay.
So I seen these guys in there, these Mexican cats in there, man, who they were eating together and they were hanging out together, and they were socializing, and they were in a gang, and like I craved that, man. I wanted to be a part of that so bad, and so I started hanging out with them, you know what I'm saying? And like, even though I didn't speak Spanish or nothing, man, you know what I'm saying? Like I still wanted to be down, bro. And
You know what? When you're in prison, this is in Indiana.
yeah.
Is there any like really racial tensions? Because I know I talked to people from like from different states. So how was it as far as like I guess in prison, racially speaking? How was
Yeah.
that in there?
So it's not like in Indiana, bro. It's not like you see on the lockup shows out in California where it's like, the whites are strictly with the whites and the blacks strictly with the blacks, and then the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like
Okay.
there's a lot of mixing going on. You know what I'm saying? People hanging out, neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? It's more about where you're from and like what neighborhood you're from. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of cats from Indianapolis and Fort Wayne and South Bend, and they like like they don't like click up. I mean, there's gangs in there, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't There's a lot of neighborhood clicking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's Aryans in there. Don't get me wrong, man. But the Aryans in Indiana, bro. I'm sorry, man. There was some real Aryans in there, but man, the Aryans, the way they rotated in there, that mean you had Aryans washing dishes for some of the black guys, bro. It was kind of a joke, man. You know what I'm saying? It was a running joke going on in there. But I wasn't trying to kick it with them anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like I was trying to kick it down and kick it with these other folks,
Yeah.
man. Not folks, but like I was trying
I-
to kick cats, and so I did, man. Like I linked up with these guys, man, and and then you know what I'm saying, like I got into a lot of trouble, and I ended up going from what they call a 2I and a 2O in custody to a level 3 because I couldn't stay out of trouble. I was getting high. Um, I was breaking into counselors' offices to steal my write-ups, and I mean, acting like a fool. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like,
So you're committing more crime while incarcerated, huh?
couldn't stop,
Yeah.
acting a fool, man. And so when they bumped my level up, man, I went to this place called Miami, bro, and it's Miami Correctional Facility, and there was level 3s and 4s there, man. So it was a step up, you know what I'm saying, like from where I was at, like as far as like security wise goes, and that's where I linked up with the brothers that were at this penitentiary, man, and they had all the heroin, you know what I'm saying? The brothers had all the heroin. And, so I'm running heroin from cell house to cell house, and getting my little cut for it and getting high in prison, and I'm not doing anything to better myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't thinking about bettering myself. I was thinking about, feed my addiction. And
Brother, I don't think I asked you, what was your sentence? How many years did they give you?
oh, so yeah, I caught a burglary, man. It was a Class B felony. They gave me 12 years, and they suspended 6 of it, and they gave me a 6-3.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, um, I'm getting in all kinds of trouble, dude. I'm in. I don't know if you're from Illinois, right? And I
Yes.
know you've been to prison, right?
Yes.
That on one of your things.
You know what? I actually went in '97 too. So when you mentioned '97, I was in there from '97 to 2000.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, so they suspended 6 and they gave me a 6-3. So I was supposed to get out in 2002, also 2000 also, and you know, um, but that didn't happen for me, man, because I couldn't stay out of trouble. So I was in time class 3, what they call time class 3 in Indiana, which means you don't get any good time. You're doing day for day because I got out of trouble. So I ended up doing the whole 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see my outdates rolling past, bro, and I was sick to my stomach on those days. But like, I was in there, man, and like I had like pretty much resigned myself to, this was the life I chose, and so this was the life I was gonna live, you know. And so yeah, fast forward, dude, I ended up getting out in like the very end of 2002, and I got I got out and I went right back out to the streets, bro. I went back out, man, and I started kicking it with some of the guys that I met in there, and we were partying and getting high, and but the only thing was, man, like I couldn't control myself, man. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys were able to like, like they weren't like me, man. Like once I start doing dope, that's the only thing that I can focus on, you know. So when I got out, man, and I started kicking it and partying, man, I eventually stopped hanging out with those dudes and kind of was doing my own thing again, man. And I was out there just, you know, um, trying to stay high, bro. I was, dude. I was a heroin addict, man. And I ended up catching another auto theft, I caught an auto theft, and I went back into jail for another year to the county. I signed a plea bargain for a 2-1 in the county, along with some probation. I got out. Um, I got out, went to a halfway house, was trying to get my life together, trying to stay sober. I was going to meetings. Um, I was, but I was going to these meetings, man, but I wasn't really there for the right reason. I was just going to check the boxes. I just wanted to get off probation if I could, but I wasn't even able to do that, man, because, I ended up getting kicked out of this halfway house because I started getting high again. Now I'm back. Now I got a warrant for my arrest, and so I took off to Florida, bro, and was down there for a little while, man. And I had these warrants for my arrest, and things didn't work out for me down there, so I ended up coming back home. Um, you know, I'm shooting dope, man, and um, I end up catching a possession of stolen property. And so here's the thing, too, man. So like when I'm getting locked up, like I guess I can tell that a little bit later, man. Um, so I ended up coming back and I caught a possession of stolen property. I ended up going back to jail. I forget what I forget. So it was a possession of stolen property. It was the auto theft. They gave me all my backup time on that. They ended up giving me 9 years total, right? So um, I went back to prison for another 5 years, man. I ended up doing 5 on that 9. When I got out, man, I went right back out to the dope, right back out to the streets, and that's when things got really bad for me, man. Like because the disease of addiction, bro, it's progressive. You know what I mean? It gets worse over time, and people try to tell me that, dude, but I wouldn't listen, man. You know, um, so I got all kinds of stories, dude, but like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like it just takes over your head, dude. So I guess, one of the worst times of my life, man, was right around like 2015, bro. I was like, I was living down in Indianapolis, man, with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I was just she was an optometrist. So she made roughly a hundred grand a year. Okay, and that was really the only reason I was with her. You know what I'm saying? Like I was she had a nice crib, and she had money, and so I was basically using her for all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I got really bad down here in Indianapolis on that dope, man. And I lost all of my any moral values that I had, bro. I had lost them all. You know what I'm saying? Like I was you know I was doing just really scandalous. You know what I'm saying? Just really being really scandalous, man, and using and abusing anybody I could go through, man. And so I ended up, man, coming back up north, bro, and I was couch surfing, man, going from place to place, man, and I had oh, so I went to Lafayette first. That's what it was. I went to Lafayette, man, on my way back up north, and I caught a case in Lafayette, a possession case. They let me out of jail, man, and I didn't go back to go to court. All right, so I had a warrant out of Lafayette, man, and so when I got really bad up there, when I came back home, man, I was strung out, man, couch surfing, didn't have nowhere to go, and so I manipulated somebody that I knew, man, into giving me enough money to go to detox. I told him I wanted to get my life straightened out, that I wanted to go to detox and get my life together, which was a complete lie. You know what I'm saying? So I took that money that they gave me, man, and I told my guy that I was with, I said, hey, man, if you give me a ride to Chicago so I can get this dope, man, and then you give me a ride to Lafayette, you know what I'm saying, so I can turn myself in on this warrant, you know what I'm saying? I told him, I said, I'll get you high, you know what I'm saying? We'll get high from Chicago to Lafayette, bro, and I'll give you some dope to go home with, man. So I went up there, I bought a quarter ounce of heroin, bro, and we got high all the way back down to Lafayette, and we stopped at CVS. I told him to stop at CVS, man. I need to run inside and get some balloons, some Vaseline. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a quarter ounce, man. I was going to turn myself in because I didn't have nowhere to go, but I wasn't going in without anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I was going to take this dope in with me, and everything was going to be cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll just go in there and get high and do this little time, and and we'll go from there. So that I did that, man. You know what I'm saying? I you know up
Yeah, yeah.
quarter ounce, bro, and went up into jail, dude, and it was like the worst, like what was supposed to be like what was supposed to be um nice, just go in there and do this time and get high, was like the one of the worst times, bro, ever, man, because like I did that whole quarter ounce, bro, in about 4 or 5 days. I can't remember. It was just a matter of days and it was gone, bro. And I was having seizures in there, man, because I think because I was doing so much dope, whatever they were cutting it with, you know what I'm saying? Like I started having seizures in the cell, man, and I had taken some Suboxone in with me, man, and I was so high and so delusional, I couldn't remember when I had finished the dope, and I took the Suboxone too early, and it put me into precipitated withdrawals. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm laying in my rack, bro, and I'm throwing up, and I'm leaking out my rear end at the same time, bro, and I'm having seizures, and it's not like I can hit the button and call the nurse. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to tell them? You know what I'm saying? That I didn't want to tell him why I was sick. You know what I'm saying? Um, I still had all this Suboxone on me and stuff, man. So I just had to go through it, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and then when I was at Westville, bro, I had I had manipulated one of the females that I grew up with into bringing me some cocaine and some heroin in on the visits. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to these lengths, bro, to get these drugs in jail is my point. It's not to glorify what I was
Yeah.
doing. That was how bad I had gotten. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was going into jail, I had to make sure that I had these drugs, man. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm making wine in prison. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the wine man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm making wine every week, man. And like, so prison was, it was like a big party for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the way that I was completely obsessed and consumed with running and escaping reality, man.
So you're in prison. When does the change eventually start to take place, or what happens right before you experience like change in your life?
So I got out of prison in '09, man, and I haven't been back to prison since.
Mm.
I was I've been in and out of county jails since then, of course, but like what happened was, man, I back in 2022, um by that point I had been 27 years, man, of of course not every day, you know what I'm saying, but for 27 years there wasn't a day that went by. I can almost guarantee there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't think about getting high on heroin or smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was I was locked up in my head. You know what I'm saying? So 27 years later, bro, I'm broken. I'm completely defeated, desperate for a new way of life, man. Um, I overdosed in 2018, man. Um, and dude, I've overdosed so many times. Matter of fact, I used to have when people used to get into my car, because I used to live in my car, bro, and we used to just, if we weren't in Gary, we were in Chicago, and we were living on the south side in my car. And I mean, we were getting high, you know what I'm saying, hustling all day to get money, man, just to stay high. And I used to tell people that got in my car, I used to say, look here, man, you overdose in my car. This is what's getting ready to happen, man. I'm gonna call 911, and then I'm gonna pull you out of. I'm gonna give them our location, and then I'm gonna pull you out of the car, and I'm gonna leave you here, and I'm gonna drive across the street, and I'm gonna make sure the ambulance shows up, and you know what I'm saying. That's how it's gonna go down. He's like, I used to tell him, I'm not gonna let you die, man, but that's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave you where we're at, and I'm going across the street, and I'll wait till the ambulance gets here. And nobody ever died on my watch because of that. And that's good for me, man, because like I know people that would just leave you, man. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't even call 911.
Right.
They'd just leave you for dead, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't do that to people, man. I wouldn't want nobody doing that to me, man.
Yeah.
You know, I I what was I gonna say, man? In 2018, bro, you know, I'm bad down here in Indianapolis, man. I'm getting high, bro, and uh actually I got clean for 13 months. I went to a halfway house. I was trying to get my life together, man. And I went to a halfway house, bro, and I was able to stay sober for 13 months, man. And I've when I was growing up in high school, I was always in the weight room. You know what I'm saying? Because I played football and stuff, and so I've always liked to work out, right? And I always avoided steroids. Well, at 40 years old, man, I decided I wanted to start using steroids because I ran into one of my dudes, man, and he walked in and he was just boom, just swolled up. I was like, dang, bro, how'd you get like that, man? He's like, man, I got that juice, bro. I was like, man, I need some of that, man. So I started banging these steroids, right? And I blow up, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like 240 solid, man. And you know what I'm saying? But when I did that, man, I had been clean for 13 months when I stuck that needle in my arm, even though I wasn't mainlining it, I was putting something foreign into my body that God didn't want in my body. And I I lost any kind of, and that's the other thing, bro. Is like I was sober, but I was not living an honest lifestyle. I had fallen back into the females. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't getting high, but I was running through females. You know what I'm saying? Like Dimebags, bro. That I was addicted to sex, bro. So like I was still living a dishonest lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? While I was clean that whole time. So really wasn't doing much, man. I was just a dry drunk. But
Yeah.
once I took that needle in my arm, bro, it was a wrap, dude. Like I feel like God was like, you know what? I gotta let you go and let you do your thing, man. And I went on a 6 week bender, bro. And I was a concrete mason, union concrete mason. I was an apprentice. So I was making really good money down here in Indianapolis. And I spent all that money in 6 weeks that I had saved up, man. And I was shooting dope and smoking crack and doing meth and drinking. And I had Hep C, man. I had Hep C for years and years and years from shooting dope. And I had never done anything about it. So my liver, man, my liver was in bad shape. And I went on that 6 week bender and my liver shut down on me. And when that happened, my heart stopped and I went into cardiac arrest. And my buddy, I was at my buddy's house, man. He didn't know what to do, man. He started to do CPR on me, but he didn't know he needed to turn me over on my side because I was aspirating. You know what I'm saying? And while he was doing CPR and blowing into my mouth, he was pushing that vomit back down
Oh,
in, and I went without oxygen. Nobody knows how long I went without, but it was long enough to where I use a walker now. I have to use a walker. I can use a cane on good days, but I don't walk normal, man. Like I was in a bed for 6 months, bro. Um, for 6 months, I had to have these beautiful nurses wipe my butt for me. You want to talk about humbling? You know what I'm saying? That's a humbling experience, bro. When you can't wipe your own butt, and you got to have people do it for you. And, yeah, I couldn't feed myself because I had uncontrollable movements, so they had to feed me. And I was in a bed for 6 months, bro. And don't you know, as soon as that 6 months, as soon as I was able to walk after 6 months, bro, as soon as I was able to walk and get around on my own, I went right back to the dope house, man. I showed up at the dope house with my walker and started getting high again, bro. And I went back on another 4.5 year binge, bro. And that was in 2018. And in 2022, in June of 2022, I was at my end, bro. I was living back at my mom's house. Um, I mean, dude, it was so bad, bro. I would be sitting out in front of the trap house, bro. I would be smoking crack and I would be shaking so bad that I couldn't even get out of the car and walk in by myself with my walker. They literally had to carry me in the crack house. Four guys, they would get under each arm and under each leg, and they would carry me into the crack house. They would put the crack pipe in my mouth, load the crack pipe for me, and they would light it for me while I smoked it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't do it on my own, man. You know, I mean, that's what it was like for me, bro. Um, I was bad, dude. I was so 2022, dude. I was laying on the floor of my mom's bedroom, dope sick in the fetal position, and I just cried out to God. I said, God, please take this from me. Please help me. Please, God, please help me. And you know, he didn't do nothing right then, bro. But 2 weeks later, I ended up getting locked up, man. And I've been clean ever since, bro. I didn't know Jesus was gonna be waiting for me in Johnson County Jail, man. He was in there waiting for me, dog. And I don't know. I can tell you exactly where I was standing, what cell block I was in. I know, you know what I mean? I'll never forget it, bro. And I just knew that I was done. I knew I was done getting high, bro. And I know it was Jesus, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was praying the whole time I was in there. I was reading the Bible, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was reading any kind of AA literature I could get my hands on, anything to learn about what I had and how I could not live that way no more. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, dude, I cried out to him, bro, and he heard me, man. And
what did you experience? What did you feel that you knew like, man, Jesus just did something in my life?
yeah, you know, I can't explain it. It wasn't like a burning bush, bro. It was just something clicked in my head, dude, where I just knew right there, then at that moment, that I was gonna do anything and everything I could not to go back to that life. I started reading the Bible. I was reading the Bible, but I started reading the Bible every night intentionally. I started praying intentionally. I started holding listen, I started holding AA meetings in this cell block with members of the same gang that I was running with in this cell block, and I'm sitting in an AA meeting talking about my feelings, bro. You know what I'm saying? In front of, like, with other guys, bro. You know what I'm saying? That, you know what I'm saying? And these guys that were in this gang, they're over here snickering and laughing. Like, what's this brother doing, man? This brother's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I knew that if I didn't start right then, that I was going to get back out and do the same thing over. If I didn't change, I knew I was changed, but I had to put the work in, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, and
You know, can I ask you? I know you started this like this group. Did you have somebody that you seen? I guess somebody else that modeled this during this time, or did you just feel, man, I'm the one that has to start this?
so I've been going, you know, because of all the trouble I've been in, because it's been all addiction based. I've been forced to go to meetings my whole life. I knew about AA and
Yeah,
NA things, right? I knew what I needed to do. You know what I'm saying? I had just never done it.
gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I hadn't been broken yet. I was broken now, bro.
Mm.
And you know, they talk about in those programs, they talk about getting a higher power. Well, I know who my God is. You know what I'm saying? I know who the one true God is, bro.
How did you know that it was Jesus? Because I know you said like growing up you believed in the God, but maybe not necessarily Jesus, or going back. And I just remembered going back. Was it because of what happened to you at 12 years old when you got saved? I guess, or
Yeah, bro. When I had been to church, like I said, with that family.
yeah,
Bro, listen, I didn't share this either. When I was in high school, man, and when I was starting off in my addiction, when I was still in high school before things got really bad, I thought I was going crazy, man, because I would hear, I know it was God, dude, because I would have voice in my head telling me not to do these things that I was doing, and like not verbally, but like
yeah,
I could feel this pull on me, like trying to pull me away from the things that I was doing. And I thought I was going crazy because at the time I was so young, I didn't realize that it was God. I believe it was God to this day. Now I believe it was God because they were just like, I can't even explain it, bro. But like I was being convicted, man, on my behavior because I had already got down on my knees at that point and asked God, you know what I'm saying, to be the Lord and Savior of my life. I had just never fully repented. But I believe God was a part of my life, man, because I felt this pull pulling me away from what I was doing, but I didn't listen to it. And I ignored it and I did what I wanted. And my life it went down the road that it went down. Had I listened to that voice or that pull, I don't know where I'd be at today. Probably, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you because I probably wouldn't have went down the road that I went down.
yeah.
You know? Uh,
Gotcha. So now you're back. You're back in prison. You're starting this AA meetings yourself. What begins to happen in there?
so yeah, no, I was in the county jail, man, down in Johnson County, just south of Indianapolis here, and I started holding these AA meetings, bro. I started going to church every Sunday in jail, and I only had to do 90 days because I got popped on a possession down there, so I had to do 90 days, man. But that 90 days was the start of my new life, man, because I haven't gotten high since then.
Praise
So yeah, praise God, man. I got out of jail, dude, and I went into a halfway house and I immersed myself in the church and in AA meetings. Um, I started reading the Bible every morning to get my day started. Actually, I started listening to the Bible on YouVersion, and I was a baby Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just trying to do something different. You know what I mean? So I would listen to the Word every morning to get my day started, and I would pray, and that eventually transitioned to me reading the Word. You know what I'm saying? And like, um, you know, like I I've grown so much. How much time we got left, bro?
Oh no, we're at 52 minutes, so it's up to you. Like you know, like I said, we could do another 10, 20 minutes or something. You know.
Oh, we ain't got to go that long, bro.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know, I'll follow your lead, man. Go ahead.
So what happened, man? You know, ever since then, bro, this is, you know what I'm saying, what God, you know, since I've surrendered to God and I live my life for Jesus Christ today, man. Um, you know, I like I said, I started going to church and going to meetings, man, and that has progressed, you know what I'm saying, to like I still do those things, but like my relationship with God has grown, man. Like, you know, I got a job. I ended up getting a job in recovery. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a recovery coach today, man. Um, I've been a recovery coach now for 18 months. I get a chance to sit down with people and I get a chance to hear their story, and then I get a chance to testify, about what Jesus has done in my life. You know what I'm saying? And how he's always been there, dude. I've overdosed so many times, bro. I used to get calls from bill collectors, man, and after a while I just started saying, you know what, get in line, click. And because I had so many ambulance bills and so many lawyers and all these creditors calling me because of all the money I owed from overdoses and stuff. So like I get a chance to testify, bro, about what Jesus has done in my life, man. How he's kept me alive, how he's always been there for me, man. You know what I'm saying? And like, so I get to do that today, bro. I just got married 2 weeks ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's a guy, man, that was in and out of prison, bro. You know, heroin addict, shooting dope, man. Never thought I ain't got no kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, never thought I was going to be able to get married. Like, Jesus has led me. You know, I met my wife in recovery coach classes, and we have grown together. You know, like I had a chance to talk to her about Jesus. She didn't believe in God when I met her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I basically gave her, you know, it was like back when I was using drugs, man. I used to tell my girls, look, if you got a problem with me doing heroin, then you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like heroin came first. I told my girl, I said, look, man, Jesus is the way, man. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't get, if you can't get, you know, if you can't do this with me with God, then I got to move on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now I ain't telling people I got to move on now because of drugs. I'm telling people, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Jesus is the way. Like I won't tell them, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I got to move on from you if you don't believe. But that's you get my point, man. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, why?
Especially like in marriage or in a relationship, man. You know, you want to be you don't want to be unequally yoked, right?
Yeah, bro, exactly, dog. And that's how I knew, man, that she was the one, man, because I told her, I said, man, if you can't, because I read a meme one time, bro. It said chase God as fast as you can, and whoever keeps up with you, that's your woman.
I like that one. That was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so she did that, bro. And I've watched her relationship with Jesus just prosper. You know what I'm saying? Just develop over the last 18 months, man. And so we got married 2 weeks ago, bro. We just
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, bro. We just got keys to a new house, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like God is he's just working in our lives, bro. And we just trying to stay faithful to him today, bro. Like, like I moved down here like 3 months ago because I got a job. Her and I work together, bro. We have the
Right.
same, you know what I'm saying? Like we live together, we work together, and we get along really well, man. And we're in recovery together. We follow Jesus together. And like I moved down here 3 months ago and we were living in the same house, but we were obedient to God. I slept on the couch, you know what I'm saying? She slept in the, you
Amen.
know what I'm saying? Like we are doing our best to follow Jesus and live how Jesus wants us to live, you know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm nothing without him and that I can't do anything without him. You know what I'm saying? I know without Jesus, bro, my default is to go back out to them streets and get high.
Mhm.
That's my default, bro. So, Jesus is like, like I said, bro, I've always known that there was a God, dude, and I had to go through what I had to go through. But you know what? I would do it again if that was the only way I could get to. You know?
Hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. As long as it led to him, right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So like my story, bro, is a little different than all the others, bro. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how we get to Jesus, and as long as we get, to him, like he gold, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like my, having that relationship with him, man, and like, I want to get into like apologetics, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because like I want to defend the faith, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to stand up. Like it's Pride Month right now, bro, and like dude, I need to pray about it, bro. But I get so worked up about this, man, because like I I can't stand it, bro, that they push this agenda, bro, and they push it on our kids,
Yeah.
man. They're you know what I'm saying, like push this thing, bro, and I just I just, I fight against it, bro, and I don't know if I'm doing that right or not, man, but that's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't stand all of the rhetoric and propaganda that they put out there, man. And I just feel like the Lord is calling me to stand up and stand firm in the faith and, talk to people about what God expects out of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. I mean, I'm caught up in that right now, man.
Yeah.
But
No, I know you mentioned apologetics. Are you thinking about maybe enrolling like in let's say like a Bible school, some theology? Like what are you looking into?
well, so I got a dude, man, one of my guys, bro. He's heavy into it, right? And I just really been talking to him, man. I'm just kind of picking his brain right now, man, and kind of learning about it and stuff, man. But from what I know so far, man, it's kind of something that I'm interested in. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't know what God's got in store for me or for me and my wife, bro. We're really involved in the recovery, but I just, I want to have, I don't even know for sure what our ministry is yet. We just got married 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I know what to do with, I don't know for sure yet. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to be led by him and whatever he wants me to do. Really, bro, I've been praying about losing all my dreams and aspirations and just whatever he wants me to do. You know what I'm saying? That's really what I want to do, bro. Because whenever I start making decisions and calling the shots, that's when my life starts to, kind of veer off and go the wrong direction. But
Man, man, maybe he continue to lead you and guide you, brother, man. Sounds like you're on the right path, marriage, or working together, and sounds like you're doing ministry together already. And I'm sure there's more to come, though.
yeah, no doubt, man. But yeah, bro, I appreciate you having me on, man, and I hope this helps somebody, man. I hope somebody can relate to this, man. Um, and yeah, bro, I think that's about all I got there, man.
Gotcha. All right. No, sounds good, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking time to share your story with us. Usually I allow you, any final words, and then if you could close us out in a prayer.
Yeah, so I guess my final words would be like, um, so all those years I was out there, man, strung out and running the streets, man. I always knew God was real, and I I was never I don't there were times I would say I was hopeless, but I always knew God was real, man, and I never gave up hope on like I never not believed in God, man. So I would just final words would be to anybody that may be going through the things that I went through, man. It's just never give up hope on God, man, because he's not giving up on you, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I could take us out with a quick prayer, man. And Father God, I just want to thank you for Omar, Lord, and I just thank you for this opportunity, Lord, to get on here and share my experience, Lord. And I just pray, Father, that that somebody would be able to hear it, and I hope it can help them, Lord. I pray, Father, that you would bless Omar's ministry and bless his family, Lord. And I just pray that you would do the same for me and my new family, Lord. And Father God, we just thank you for your grace, your unconditional love and mercy, Lord. Um, you have been so you've been so kind and good to us, God, and I just thank you right now, Lord, for who you are and for your Son Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, our Lord and Savior, Lord, and just ask that you bless Omar as he goes forward, God, in Jesus' mighty name, I pray, Amen.
Amen, amen. Thanks, brother. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. And man, I just pray for you. I pray for your marriage. May God continue to bless it. Bless your marriage, your union, and may He use not only you but both of you. I know you mentioned like what is your family? I mean, what is your ministry? As a family, may He make that clear to you, and man, may He keep you. I like to tell people, keep up the God work. Instead of keep up the good work, keep up the God work. But man, thank you for your time, brother. And with that, we're gonna get ready to close out. Matthew 4:16 reads, "The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and shadow of death, light has dawned." Alongside my guest, Brett Lawrence, I'm Omar Calvillo, and we are Wrong Too Strong.